7:42 Friday night, GBU Live, usually at 7 o'clock, but due to my own incompetence and technical difficulties, we are sitting here at 7:42, ready to go on a Friday, though. As always, we're here at 7 and in-house today. JD and Lenny, how you guys doing?
We're doing good, KB.
Good.
Another Friday. A lot more rumors this week. A little more to talk about. Combine happened. I'm home. It feels good to be home. Reese is on vacation. He's in Vermont, so he's not with us again this week. But we got Big Lenny, and we're ready to roll.
Lenny, how we feeling? I know that you're a little upset the last week. We have no baseball. We have the
KB, we got lag. Bad news.
Was that just me? Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, KB's frozen.
Yeah, definitely not great news with baseball, though. I definitely disappointed, but we'll see.
Bad news. Okay. KB's gone. This is bad. We're good.
Oh, shit. It's just us two.
No, we're good, Big Lenny. We keep it going
We'll
from here.
yeah,
KB's going to give
keep
us, whenever he comes back, he'll be able to join if he wants. He'll give his combine thoughts because he's our draft guy. So if he can get back, I don't know if he'll be rejoining us. We'll see. But if not, me and Big Lenny will take it from here. I'm just going to get we wait for some more people in here, Big Len, as I get this post up. There, we're on 2. All right. Story post. Link. Paste. Done. All right. Let's just get right into it then. So KB's our combine guy. Like I said, we don't know too much about what's going on there. We watch. We look for all the 40 times because that's what's flashy. But if whether it's next week or whether it's tonight, KB will come back and he'll give us his thoughts on the combine so far and everything draft related. But let's just get into the free agency rumors right away. Today, it was reported that the Commanders made a competitive offer for Russell Wilson. Seahawks have no intention of moving him. I don't think this is much of a surprise because we saw the Washington's report about how they were so very willing to trade for a franchise guy. Mm-hmm. I just want to know what you have to think, Big Len. The Seahawks, if you can get a big haul for Russell Wilson, you got to at least think about it. They're not, but would you at least think about it if they had a haul for Russell Wilson?
I would definitely think about it. I think if I'm them, I'd really almost ask. We're starting at Chase Young is definitely going to be the first piece I want, and I want probably if you had Chase, probably 2 to 3 firsts. I mean, they asked the Chiefs if Mahomes is available.
About Patrick Mahomes.
That they're going for it, the Commanders. So I mean, they might be willing to do anything. So you don't know.
They had 6 wins in a competitive team last season with a backup quarterback with Heineke. So we know there maybe not be the definition of a quarterback away because, top to bottom, they're still not the most well-rounded team. They're in a weak NFC, though. So if they get a guy like Russell Wilson, they can easily win the NFC East or make it in as a wild card and win a playoff game or two. So you can't blame them trying to go heavy for Russell Wilson, for Aaron Rodgers. They'll probably offer for Jimmy G. I wouldn't give up too much for Jimmy G. And, they could draft someone in April. Do you think Pickett, Willis, who do you think is the best fit for Washington?
I think, honestly, either Willis or Pickett could be a great fit for Washington. But I think, sadly, they'll have to pick between whoever they get left because I think Willis is going to go in my mock. I had Willis going to the Panthers at 6. I think the Panthers are definitely going to probably take a quarterback. I think they should.
Panthers are definitely in a conversation for quarterback at 6, and maybe even teams trading up with the Jets or Giants to get ahead of them to take quarterbacks. Definitely an idea we floated around there. If you had to, would you trade 5 as a Giants fan? Would you trade 5 to a team who need a quarterback?
I think I would. I don't know if I would trade it to Washington, though. In division, I don't know if I'd be willing to give them Washington. A guy that's going to compete against me twice a year for the next 10 years. So, but anybody else, probably not in the NFC
Teams like
East.
Denver, you probably
Denver
don't get.
definitely.
I don't know. You probably don't get a first from next year for Denver, so you're probably not going to move the 5th pick if you're not getting a first for next
Yeah.
year. But they're a team who, if you could get a first, like the Bears, like they're a good football team. They have a good roster, but you can come back with like a top 15 pick next year too. If you have Denver's pick,
Yeah.
I definitely think they'll be good, and they'll probably be in the late teens, early 20s with a good quarterback. But if you're dealing with a team who wants to move up to 5, you could always think about, is this team going to be good next year, like Chicago? Because Chicago was bad this year, and you guys have the 7th pick. So
that paid off a lot. So,
Big Rye, DPT, what up? What up?
What's going on?
Me and Big Lenny are holding it down today because KB, our friend, is having technical difficulties. So we are going to do the best we can. Oh, I think he's joining back. There he is. Welcome back, KB.
I'm back for now.
Back
with my laptop where it charges, but since we're doing this right now, it's dying while it's charging.
Mm-hmm.
So
okay.
If I am out again, I'll probably be gone for like 15, 20 minutes. And if you're still going, then
we'll be going, KB. We just went through. We just talked about the Commanders and their offer for Russell Wilson. How the Seahawks have no intention of moving.
Yeah.
I asked Big Lenny. I'll ask you too, KB. I think I know the answer, but if you're getting a haul like that for Russell Wilson, you would at least think about it, even though they're not, right?
Yeah, and I just heard what Lenny said. I probably will cut out and die during this, but I just heard what Lenny said. It starts with Chase Young for that. I'd even ask, give me Heineke back, and then probably your next 3 firsts. And if they're willing to go to that, then I think you have to do it, because if Carroll's gone at the end of next year, I think Russ is going to be gone with him at the end of next year. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you can get a return like what the Eagles. Oh, my laptop just went up in percentage. I don't know if you're going to get a return.
Here we go.
Like you're going to get from the Eagles or Washington this year if you were to deal him after this upcoming season.
Yeah. Let me just I'm getting a story post here, fellas. We got the IG one up, but we're going to try to get some more people in there so we can get some comments. But we got a long list of things to talk about too. And that with more NFC East news, the Cowboys released Amari Cooper. Now that it's not as much of a shot. They're going to try to trade him first.
Yeah.
It's not. They haven't officially released him yet, so it's bad wording on my end there. They haven't officially released Amari Cooper. They're going to try to trade him, but most likely they're going to release him, which frees up, I think, about $16 million cap, and they're going to try to get a Michael Gallup extension done. I think we have lost Kevin again.
Yeah, I think we did lose KB too.
So I think we have lost Kevin.
Back in later. So back to us too.
Back to us too. Here we go. So the Cowboys released Amari Cooper. It frees up a lot of cap space for them. They'll be able to do a Michael Gallup deal. Amari Cooper destinations. What do you think? Jets? Could Jets be one?
I think the New York Jets. Possibly. I'd say maybe New England. I would even consider Philly.
Yeah.
So there's probably going to be a lot of suitors. Oh,
Big Rye, Amari to NYJ. Yeah, it seems. Higgy, what do we think? Pats?
No, Higgy's anti-Jets, so it's Pats.
It's Pats. I think the Jets is a spot. I think there's a lot of the teams that could use Amari Cooper to really put them over the top don't have the cap space probably. I don't know what he'll command in free agency, not like top wide receiver money because he just had a down year, but he'll still get a nice contract, I think.
I'd say he definitely get
says
like
the Jags.
17, 8.
The Jags can pay him. KB, this is a disaster.
Know if they will, though.
KB, we look forward to your arrival back into the live stream. We will keep holding it down until you are back. So yeah, the Cowboys released Cooper. I don't think it's a move we all are shocked by. They'll try to trade him, but teams aren't giving any premium picks for him because they know that Dallas is just going to release him and no one's taking on that contract. So at the end of the day, he won't get traded. He'll probably get released, and it'll be the wide receiver market is interesting because you have the top guy, Devontae, and then I think Chris Godwin is great. I don't know how great Amari will be next year. Mike Williams is great. So there's options at wide receiver, and there's also options in the draft because we saw at the combine there are wide receivers who can absolutely fly in this draft. a lot of opportunities for teams who need improvements at that position to do so. So there's going to be a lot of wide receivers on the move, and there's going to be a lot of wide receivers taken in the first round. So I think that like Amari Cooper being a free agent really adds to the free agent class. So I think he'll sign a big deal somewhere. Next in the free agent news, the Patriots intend to let cornerback J.C. Jackson hit the open market. Now that there's rumblings of this for a few weeks now. The Patriots haven't talked to him. I don't think they see him as the number one corner that he sees himself. I know he's great, and he's a ball hawk, and he's going to get a ton of picks, but he also does get burnt a little bit, and I think Bill didn't want to give him the big contract. Someone will. A team, I said Seattle on Instagram. I like Seattle to make a push for him. I think Tennessee could. I don't know what their cap situation is.
Mm-hmm.
Higgy says he's a Jet. Next, Tremaine
Johnson.
Johnson.
I was just gonna say I could see the Jets pursuing.
I don't know about Tremaine Johnson. That was bad, but he was highly coveted at the time, so I guess it could be. But J.C. Jackson's a premier corner. I don't think he's as good as he's going to get paid. I don't think he's the best corner in the league, but he is a good corner. Anywhere else you think he could go, Big One? Seattle. I mean, a lot of teams need corners. I don't know.
A lot of teams can need corners. I mean, I feel like this was kind of expected. Bill is not going to pay. You're just not going to pay you after your rookie contract done, most likely, especially not top dollar. He's rumored he wants $100 million. Wants to get Ramsey money. I don't think he's close to Ramsey. So
I think a lot of Patriots fans want just them to pay him, but because they have the cap space, they don't have a ton of cap space, but they have enough to get a deal done. You always have enough to get a deal done. There's always a way to make it happen. He'll get paid very handsomely, but it won't be by New England, and I think it's not the worst route to go. Higgy said the Chiefs. I don't know what the Chiefs cap. Yeah, I don't know what the Chiefs are gonna. That's another thing we could talk about with the Chiefs. I don't think he's going to the Bengals. DPT. It's a
that's
fun.
the least of their concerns right now.
It's a fun idea to think about, but the Bengals don't pay anyone to begin with. They're a very notoriously cheap organization, so it's hard to see them handing out a big contract at corner when they very clearly need offensive line.
Yeah.
But speaking of the Chiefs, Tyreek Hill is set to get another payday, and I saw rap sheet. I didn't actually know this when I first watched the clip, but in Tyreek's contract, there's it's incentive based where he can make up to the highest paid wide receiver money if he gets a certain amount of accolades, because there was meant to keep him on the field because he had issues staying on the field with whatever domestic violence in college and all that stuff. Tyreek Hill's not a good guy. They incentivized his first contract to pay him a lot of money, but if he was off the field, he wouldn't get paid. Now he is going to get paid. He's going to get paid guaranteed money. He probably won't reset the market because Devontae's a free agent. Devontae's going to reset the market. So Tyreek, I think he'll get around 25 a year. And the Chiefs are going to make a way. They have those the void years and all that stuff with the Packers are doing it now and the Saints do it. And all the teams who would push all in, they do the void years in the back end of the contract. It frees up money. I'm not a cap guy. I don't really know how it works too much, but they're going to make it work. They have the money. I'm sure they do. He'll get 25 a year, and Tyreek is the Chiefs to stay. He'll never leave Patrick Mahomes. That duo works too much. Talking extension, Ravens, Lamar. So I want to know what you thought about the idea that Lamar plays out the rest of his contract, including the franchise tags. I saw a rap sheet post that he just doesn't sign an extension. He plays out the franchise tag, and then what could this guy get on the open market? It could be a lot. It could be a lot of money, and the Ravens will probably give it to him, I think.
Yeah, they probably will eventually give it to him. But if I'm him, I think he's done enough to get paid. I would sit out until you pay, but he doesn't want to do that. So I mean.
He's
we'll see what happens.
He seems to be a more unorthodox guy. He would do something like this and take year by year pay huge paychecks, because the franchise tag would be huge. He'd get paid handsomely for years, but he can do that and lock himself in for 10 years because Lamar Jackson's already won an MVP. He's a 2019 MVP. He's been to the playoffs. He wasn't in the playoffs this year, but he got hurt. They were the 1 seed at one point. He's been to the playoffs every year of his career, except this one, but he was hurt. So he's worth it. I think Lamar is very much worth the contract, and the Ravens probably need to pay him. And it would be embarrassing. It would be embarrassing if the Kyler Murray got paid $50 million before Lamar got paid by the Ravens. And I want to know what you think about that, the Kyler Murray situation, because he's very, I don't know. He's very like I don't know. Obviously, I don't know Kyler Murray on a personal level, but they say he's very immature. He's not really a leader. What do? You can't pay him this year, but what if he decides to be like a dick and hold out? Like, what do you even do?
I don't think I'd pay him because I don't think he's shown. I mean, I think he's a franchise quarterback, but I don't think he's shown enough to really get that contract. Now, I think he has to play another year and see what happens. They haven't won a lot of games. Granted, their teams have been great till now, but I mean, I don't know how much is on the coach or him. But at the end of it, when D-Hop went out at the end of the season, he didn't know to throw to. He had no idea what was going on. It looked like
the Rams game was embarrassing. It was bad.
Yeah, it was one of the worst games I've ever seen. I mean, he didn't even know what was going on. So I would definitely. I saw Drew's comment on time, but
do not pay Midget Murray. Unfortunately, I think they're going to. They have to probably. They paid Kingsbury. They extended Kingsbury. They extended the GM. That means they're probably going to pay Kyler Murray. It would be tough to see a scenario where they wouldn't. I just think him asking for extension this year and getting it before possibly Lamar Jackson would be, it would be a detriment. It really would be. It would be bad.
Yeah.
Reese, welcome to the comments, Reese.
Welcome,
what are
Reese.
the dream first-round picks for the G-Men in the pack? I'll go first because Big Lenny's got the 2 first-round picks and the top. I'll go first. Packers need a wide receiver, and I'll make it quick. We all know they need a wide receiver. I don't think I want Jameson Williams long-term. I love that pick, but we need guys right now, and he probably won't play this year. And if he does, he won't be a factor. Dream picks are guys that aren't going to fall, like Olave and who else? Burks and London and Garrett. Well, obviously those guys aren't probably getting to the Packers, but those are dream picks.
Yeah. And
I think Bernard Raymond, the tackle from Central Michigan, he could be a franchise tackle for us because we have Billy Turner and Bakhti. Bakhti will play left. I'd love to see Raymond on the right side. I think that would be a nice option for us. Our offensive line is already great as it is, and we could build a monster one. But G-Men, Big Lenny, I think I know who you're going here, but dream picks. KB, welcome back.
Thank you.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Big Lenny, go ahead. Dream picks.
Well, just to touch on the Packers, I think Burks has a chance to drop. Actually, his combine really wasn't great.
Yeah. Well, he's a big guy. He's a big guy.
He's a big guy.
So the 40 is not bad. I think. I don't know if that's what you're referring to.
Overall, I know we didn't do the combine winners and losers, but he really had a bad day of measurements too. He was shorter than everyone thought. He had one of the smallest hand measurements of the wide receivers, very small wingspan, ran a 4.55 40. Everyone thought he was going to be one of those absolute unicorn type of receivers and run. I understand, and Higgs saying the guy's 230. I understand that he's 230, and I still think he's going to be a great player, but he ran about 0.2 seconds slower than everyone had expected him to run, because you look at his college tape, he looks like a much faster player than a 4.55 40 guy, but CeeDee Lamb was a 4.53, so does it matter if you're a great receiver? It really doesn't. So it's always an overreaction at the combine. I don't like his physical measurements. I didn't think that they were very positive. He was a lot smaller. Out of college, guys said that his hands was a 4-time 4X custom glove. He is like a size medium in gloves. I wear a bigger glove than he does. That's something that concerns me.
I think I agree with Higgs. I think it's a bit of an overreaction just to combine. I wouldn't go to say he's the best wide receiver in the class, but could he be when it's all said and done? For sure. He's definitely
a loser at the combine yesterday, though, as far as winners and losers goes, and he's going to be a top 15, top 20 pick, but he did not do anything to improve his draft stock yesterday at the combine. because he's still behind Wilson and London and he really could be behind Olave after you saw him run yesterday. I know it was like 0.13 slower than what they said, but Olave ran well. Dotson got hurt at the combine yesterday too.
Yeah, he had a bad.
The biggest winner. JD, you want to talk about receivers for the Pack? Christian Watson from North Dakota State had an awesome day yesterday at the combine, man.
Yeah.
He jumped from I had him in that Giants mock offseason we did. I had him as their 4th round pick, as an early 4th. He's going to go in the 1st round because he had an awesome Senior Bowl. He was the best receiver there, and he was the best receiver at the combine yesterday. So he's going to jump into the top 5 receivers in this draft, I think. And I think he just did yesterday. But Lenny, you got G-Men dream draft picks.
So let's just say let's say Neal, then you go Hutchinson, then let's say I think Thibodeau is going to go 3, and then 4 Ekwonu, the Jets. I think the Giants definitely. I think it's got to be O-line definitely, and then I would definitely say an edge rusher. So I don't know.
You're definitely
in my mock I had it.
Well, we're going to stick with the Giants here, but just for the sake of it, KB, if the Jags go Ekwonu, do the Jets take Neal? Because then that changes things for the Giants.
I think what would happen would be, so the Jets are looking for right guard / center right now as upgrades because they have, I think Becton's going to be their left tackle. They're confident in him. He's working out. They have Vera Tucker at left guard. They have Fant going back to right tackle. So they're looking for guard center. I think that they would go edge at 4 and then they would wait maybe till the 2nd round to take one of the guards or the seniors from the centers from the Senior Bowl. But I don't know. It's an interesting thought. The most interesting thought for the Jets and Giants is Ekwonu, Hutchinson, Thibodeau, because
there's no way Ekwonu is dropping to the Giants. I think that is. I don't know if that's a safe assumption. Is it a safe assumption? It is.
Yeah, because I think he's going to go first. Actually, we were saying today, I think Neal's going to go first because if they're looking for a left tackle and only a left tackle and not the versatile guy, Neal's the guy to take. But I like Ekwonu more just because how could Ekwonu be a bust? He plays great now. My dogs are barking. I mean, this is just a hell of a night but they have Ekwonu is the great left tackle, great right tackle, great right guard. So he's one of those guys. I felt the same way about Wirfs. How can he be a bust? Because he's going to be good at one of the 4 positions he can play on the offensive line. But it's an interesting thought. I think after what I heard this week, just in the last 48 hours, I think Thibs doesn't make it past the Jets either. If he gets to the Jets, that means Ekwonu probably hasn't been drafted yet. And I think they're going to take either of those 2. But it's interesting thoughts. Lenny, what about for those 2? I'll give you scenarios here. Neal, Ekwonu, Hutchinson, Thibs, gone, top 4.
So Neal, Ekwonu, Hutchinson, Thibs. So I probably I would probably go with Cross. I think I think he's the 2nd best tackle if you're making Ekwonu a guard.
Looked good today.
So I would take him he did really, really well. So I'd put him. Take him at 5, and then say the Panthers take quarterback at 6. I would take an edge rusher. I like either Jermaine Johnson from Florida State, right?
Yeah, Florida State.
Yeah.
Florida
State, or maybe a Ajabo, but I feel like Jermaine Johnson just seems on tape he just looks like an absolute beast. So we'll see how he scores this weekend too. So that would be I think definitely
tomorrow line, right?
Yeah, I think D-line is tomorrow.
Sunday's corners and safeties.
Or Sunday.
I definitely
think Sunday's corners safeties.
The consensus among Giants fans is Thibs or O-line, and I think the Cross Johnson isn't bad, but I think that might be in all, it could be a really good scenario, but I think it's the worst probably of the board. Would you think it would be the worst for the Giants the way the board falls if that's how it plays out the top 4? If the Jets take Thibs, is that the worst scenario for them? If it's Ekwonu, Neal gone, Hutchinson, Thibs gone, is that your least favorite scenario out of all of them?
I don't think that is. I think most likely that's probably what it's going to be. Most likely, unless Hamilton has a chance to go 3, that would really change things.
Yeah,
but I don't think it's the worst scenario. So
I think Ekwonu's a Jet if he's there at 4.
Yeah, I think the Jets made it pretty clear this week, too, that they're definitely not. I think at 4, they're just going to the trenches on either side for 4, and I think for 10. I think they're going to double up in the first round, O-line edge. I think the receiver thing, they're going to go to the second round for, maybe free agency. You guys were talking before about how good the free agents are at the receiver position, but I think that they'll definitely move towards the second round and free agency for wide receiver. So they'll go to the trenches for the draft. And I think they've been talking to Berrios. So if you add Berrios, you're already adding a wide receiver 4. You already have your 2, 3, 4. You just got to add a 1. So wide receiver is not going to end up being the priority position with those 2 picks. And they talked a lot about helping Zach Wilson this week, the Jets. There are interesting notes where the beat was asking them, will you go defense because you have to help out Zach Wilson, blah, 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 or do you want to get help run your second round quarterback? And Douglas and Saleh were in unison and they were unified about good defense that doesn't give up 30 points a game helps the second-year quarterback just as much as adding a wide receiver at 10, which is a great point because, Wilson's best games last year were losing, 35-28 in Wilson's best games played in his rookie season. And that game against Tampa, they could not stop Brady in the second half. So with the 32nd ranked defense in the NFL, that has to improve to help Wilson and give him any chance at winning. Because if Wilson has a great second year, we could still win 6 games if the defense is how it was.
Mm-hmm. I love the draft, man. I fucking love the draft.
Yeah.
It's like still a good month and a half away, which sucks. But we got free agency the bridge after free agency to the draft for the NFL is going to suck. But that's usually where you have baseball. And I'm not even going to get into baseball yet. We're going to talk about it maybe later, if anything. But it's getting very repetitive at this point, the baseball talk, because the lockout, the only new news is the proposals from the owners. So anything player or team related is just dry right now. Back to the NFL, you guys think the Bills really have a legit shot to land Gronk? Are they gonna make a legit run at Gronk? You think?
I think they definitely can, because if he wants to play with Burrow, he should certainly be willing to play with Josh Allen. But that's an interesting situation too, because he's not going to be tight end 1, right? Because Knox is going to be.
It would be a 1A, 1B.
And how much do you have to pay? Gronk, the thing, I think they'd probably give him 1 for 8.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it wouldn't be cheap, but it wouldn't be expensive either. It would just be an average tight end contract for a year. But the thing with Gronk is him and Brady had that red zone chemistry that just helped them so much in Tampa be successful. He's not really that downfield guy, going downfield guy anymore from New England. Yeah. He's not the drive starter in Tampa. So Buffalo, if you want to add a red zone guy, sure, but I don't even think they'll put all their chips into adding Gronk to that team.
No. And they shouldn't. The Bills, do we think that what's outside of wide receiver, because that's generally what a lot of people have them taking in the draft. What else could they go? What else do they need?
I think edge badly. They need edge because they're losing Jerry Hughes this offseason. Yeah. Their rush is interior. They need linebackers. Edge or linebackers. And I think they'll go defense because their offense scores enough points. I think they'll just keep trying to work on defense. An extra sack on Mahomes in the playoffs, they might have won the Super Bowl. So
I saw they granted Cole Beasley permission to request a trade, and it seems like a real scenario where Gabriel Davis could break out next year.
Yes, definitely.
I think it could be a real Davis big season next year, as the Bills, I guess, would be second guy, depending on what Emmanuel Sanders does. But Emmanuel Sanders is not that great anymore. So probably wide receiver 2 right now for the Bills as they look to take a step further next year.
Yeah, they'll probably add a guy. They're a team that I could totally see adding Berrios and snatching him from the Jets. I was thinking about that today. Yeah. You kind of replace exactly what Cole Beasley is with Berrios, a borderline wide receiver 3, but really wide receiver 4, good out of the slot. But you're getting the best special teams kick and punt returner from last year. So I could totally see the Bills trying to take him from a division rival in the Jets, and maybe the Jets, a team that I don't know how the other teams in the division look at the Jets, but maybe a team on the rise in their division that they're trying to keep down and where they've been at. So I think it would be a great move for Buffalo to add a guy like Berrios and just pay a little more, and that would really sting. But then I think the Jets would end up overpaying him to keep him out.
I just saw TPT. I'm just going back reading the comments now. Yeah. Reese is talking about Higgy spewing, but DPT, dude, you are spewing, my guy. the receiver class, other than Drake,
He's
doesn't
not
have
the
a
best
real standout.
receiver.
DPT.
He's the
Drake,
second best receiver, man.
I want you to know that Drake is also not his last name.
Yeah.
You think that?
Yeah.
Something
Big
I want
Rye-
to touch on. Oh, what
Big
we
Raj
got
said
from
just retire. I think the Gronk back when we were
Yeah, the
talking about
Gronk, he should.
or
He definitely
Manfred,
should.
maybe. I don't know which one. Both should
I,
retire.
I feel
Probably.
Yeah.
like Gronk. I think he's just going for one more, trying to get a Super Bowl, but just not with Brady, a different quarterback. And if it doesn't happen, then I think he'll just end it after next year.
A
I think this will
Gronk-
be it for Gronk.
A Gronk in
I don't
Green
think he'll do
Bay
it after the year.
a Gronk in Green Bay scenario is one that I like to dream about, but it will never happen. Like I think about that every night when I go to bed. I'm like, imagine if Rob Gronkowski, that's already Aaron Rodgers' best tight end. Like we can never
Yeah.
pay him, and it won't happen, and they won't do that. But that's just a fun idea to think about. I think he's got
Yeah.
one more left in him.
Mhm.
I think he's got one more left.
I think
in
so
him.
too. He's been better than most tight ends, and he's still been a top 10 tight end in the league just because of how
Yeah.
weak the position is.
He was great at the beginning of this year. He got hurt. I think at one point he broke his ribs, but he was great in the beginning.
Yeah.
Like always.
Something I want to talk about with the Jets that was actually a little surprising to me is the 5th-year option picked up for Quinnen Williams. They said they're going to pick it up. They haven't officially
They were talking extension too, right?
And
Or
they're
they're
also
going
talking
to?
extension with him. I really thought, I said a couple weeks ago, I think 3 weeks ago, that I could have seen them trading him this offseason because Douglas didn't draft him. And he hasn't been great, but maybe they could end up, if they want to extend before the season, it could be one of those, we get him for 14, 15, and he really breaks out this year or something type of deal. Maybe I was just really surprised by that. He also said the Jets are going to be aggressive in free agency, and they know they have top 40 picks in the draft. They've had conversations with Barrios. I'm just going through the rumors here with the Jets at the Combine. We'll touch on whatever we want to. He still has confidence in Denzel Mims. Could be a trade bait there, though. Offensive, defensive lines will be priority around here. That's a quote from him. Says he won't shy away from trading for a proven player. If the right opportunity presents itself in the trade market, we're ready to strike. And just what I said before, that they want to help improve the defense as a way of improving Wilson's situation. I think that the Jets offense definitely last year, the reason it wasn't a top 20 offense throughout the whole season was because of Wilson. I think that they actually have a good amount of talent on it and a good play caller. But it's an interesting offseason for the Jets who, the Giants are trying to figure out what they've got with Shane and Dable, and they're trying to, like, the guys on the roster, what the two of them have going into the next season. But the Jets are trying to actually make a playoff run next year because they have to. It's been way too long without trying to. They haven't tried to make a run at the playoffs since 2015, really, because the second year of Gase was, or the first year of Gase was just not.
They got to be real competitive. And they were in more games last year, obviously, because they were so bad in 2020. They were more competitive last year, but they got to be competitive to a point where they can win 8-9 games. I think they got to be in a lot of games next year. And Zach's got to show, he's got to show us that he can hang in there with some of the best teams. And even if they lose, the Jets, while it would be fun, the playoffs would be great for GBU. It would be great for you guys you haven't seen in a long time. I don't think we're really expecting them to win a Super Bowl. So any good performances, good games for the Jets this year is just one you'll cherish because you think
exactly.
If they're 5-5 and they have a great game and they're 6-5, that's a win for you guys because they're never really at 500 in that point in the season. So I'm excited, honestly, to watch New York football next year.
It's got to be better than last season.
It intrigues me, and even if they both they might both suck, it has in the last few years. But going into this season, I think it's the most optimistic I've been as an outside fan living in New York to watch these two teams. I think it's going to be better games this year, much better than Mike Glennon and Devontae Booker. Jeez.
Definitely. That was the Giants' last 5 weeks of the season last year were the worst. That was probably the worst football team I've ever watched in my life. With Glennon at quarterback, I can't believe how terrible that was.
It was dreadful. It was as bad as watching the New York Islanders right now.
Yeah, feeble. I want to jump to something else, jumping around our topics here. NFC, we know, is pretty weak. Brady's out. What do the Bucs do at quarterback? I don't think they're in for Russell Wilson. I think if they got anyone, it would be Deshaun Watson. if they were to actually
Yeah.
trade for a big quarterback, because they're not getting Rodgers, even if he ends up going somewhere else.
Trask, that was interesting. I'll let you keep going, KV.
Yeah.
Kyle Trask is interesting to think about. next
Personally,
year.
not a fan of Trask, just because I remember watching him last year after pre-draft to see if he was a legitimate second, third round sleeper for a starting quarterback.
Mhm.
Really was not a fan of. I mean, he throws absolute floaters to Kyle Pitts all year last year. Really helped him out helped his case last season to get drafted. But I don't know. I feel like, and they were also talking about what's his name, Gabbert, to be.
Yeah, Gabbert was
Yeah,
the
I don't
backup.
know,
I'm pretty sure Trask didn't even dress last year
Yeah, he didn't
at
dress.
all. I think that's like this year could be like doomsday for Bruce Arians. Like he might get I think Bruce Arians is a great coach and he's been doing it for a long time. But I think the Bucs, I don't know, 8-9 wins that's fair. I think Arians might go after this year. I don't know. If it's Trask, it could be an ugly end for Bruce.
Yeah, I thought that if Arians had a contract, if his contract was up this year, he'd just be gone anyways.
Yeah, I think
just
he'd be
honoring
gone.
the rest
Yeah.
of the contract, get the rest of the cash, and then get out because he doesn't want to be there without Brady. He had a great press conference at the combine this week.
He always does. He always
Yeah,
does.
Yeah,
great.
always. But that was
I was
going
to say that. I was going to say that some of the best parts of the combine is watching the GMs and head coaches just spew.
Definitely the most important part of the week. Unfortunately, Saleh not there for the Jets, but we still got some quotes from him and everything.
It's Ian Cabo and McVay. McVay just did not even at the combine.
Yeah.
Obviously, he doesn't have picks. He doesn't have picks.
Yeah, he's
They
got
don't
no
have
picks. He'll let Leslie do the digging for sleepers.
Yeah.
Yeah, for their 5th and 7th round pick.
Yeah.
That's what they
How
have.
about Mike McDaniel, man?
Yeah.
He just doesn't
This is
stop.
unlike anything we've ever seen before.
Yeah, I've never
McDaniel's
seen this before.
crazy. McDaniel was on McAfee today, and it
Yeah,
was like one of the most odd. Like it was a good interview. I really liked it, but he is a strange human being.
He really is.
Yeah,
He really is.
very odd.
Do we like that? If you're a Dolphins fan, are you enjoying this?
I think the Dolphins fans like him a lot. I think they do.
I think they do, but it's the polar opposite from Brian Flores,
It
who I
is.
think Dolphins
Yeah.
fans also really liked. Really an odd.
It's just
I don't know.
odd-
I
odd
watch
situation
McDaniels,
in
and I think
Miami.
McDaniels really cool thing that he's doing a great job, like a lot of fun and stuff. But if we don't beat that guy twice next year, Saleh should be done. I mean, this guy was the assistant to LaFleur last year. 2 years ago. Saleh's worked over
He's very
McDaniel
young,
for his whole life. This guy, we gotta absolutely blow the doors off this team twice because we lost by a touchdown twice this year to Miami. We better blow the doors off this team.
Those Jets Dolphins games, especially with Flacco starting, they're good ones. They're thrillers.
Flacco's a real quarterback. Rookie year Wilson, this guy is not a real
What
quarterback.
about Joe Jones against the Colts? That was an all-time performance.
Oh yeah, Josh Johnson. Yeah,
That was an all.
Josh Jones.
That was a crazy game because White threw that opening touchdown and like sprained his pinky and couldn't come back in the game. And then
that was the first week.
And then Johnson threw like 300. We were down by 40, and Johnson threw like 360.
Dude. Greatest garbage time performance of all time,
and almost ended up giving us a win, like a real chance to win, down by 30 when he came into the game in the middle of the second. Because I remember we all had Jets at plus 11, and they almost backdoored it. They lost by 12 or 13.
Yeah, we almost backdoored our first pick. Those are our first picks on GBU. We all picked the Jets to cover.
That's a big concern of mine. I don't like getting crazy over quarterbacks' rookie years because I did see flashes from Wilson down the stretch, but that's a big concern of mine when two guys that really never play ever. Mike White never played. Both came in and threw for 400 yards against good teams, one of which went to the Super Bowl. And like Wilson can't really crack the 230 mark consistently at all. He might have had 230 plus yards in like 5-6 games this year. That concerns me a lot when you cannot execute a very simple offense. But is what it is. I mean, I hope that he takes a jump next year. I have confidence. What else do we got?
McDaniel's quirkiest coach in the league. Yeah, he's off.
Yeah,
Big Rise, straight floaters. Yeah, Kyle Trask, straight floaters.
He really
TPT,
does.
New York football team's on the rise. I respect it. We wouldn't go that far yet, TPT. We got a big monumental offseason coming up. Then we decide next year.
Yeah, New York football teams, they got to hit. I was saying to Lenny before, Shane, Dable, it's your first offseason. You got to get a feeling out process of the organization of the team, just of the jobs in general. But Joe Douglas is his third draft now. He brutally missed on one. absolutely knocked last year's out of the park. So he's got to at least find a middle ground to that where we get 4 starters. Last year we got 6 starters. The year before we might end up with 0 if Becton doesn't.
Yeah,
1 because Bryce.
I
Hall
saw
was
something like looking back on that draft. It was
yeah,
rough.
it's not a good one because it goes Becton's the first pick, Bryce Hall's the second to last pick, and then we took a punter with our last pick. So 2 starters in that draft with like 9 picks it's just not good. And then last year was great. So the Jets got to knock it out of the park. Or I will stop defending Douglas, but I will give him benefit of the doubt because first year his coaching staff that prepped him for the draft was Gase's. And last year, the amount of stuff that I've heard that Saleh did to prepare, like Shanahan does with John Lynch, it was really, a breath of fresh air for Jets fans. And so I give him benefit of the doubt.
You're in the right direction, KB. This is the big one, though. It's the big offseason.
It is because this guy's third offseason, second year away from Gase. And the first year that he was here, he totally ripped the whole thing down. Knew Gase was getting fired. They clearly were trying to get Lawrence or at least that top pick for Wilson or Lance or Lawrence or Fields. But they got to do it this year. And as a Jets fan, I think they probably
teams. I mean, we're talking about the Jets in the draft. Just do the Jets.
What?
Let's do the Jets. Let's do the Jets, Willie Chum.
The Jets, man.
You know I'm always happy to give you a Chai's team, but we're talking about the Jets. You know I'm going to say the Jets.
You guys already talked about Kyler Murray, right?
We talked
I want to talk about
Murray.
another loser of the Combine, and I know that maybe I take this more seriously than you guys do. Kenny Pickett had the 8.5 hand measurement. Yeah. That's not good for Kenny Pickett because
there's the glove.
There's one guy in NFL history that's had a second contract with 8.5 or smaller hands. Michael Vick. It's the only guy. And Pickett can run, but not like Michael Vick. He doesn't have
Burrow,
that arm either.
Burrow is like the rare case of like the 9-inch, like he's the rare case of it working out. Hands
don't matter, but hands matter. Like they actually really do in the NFL for quarterbacks. I thought the same thing when the Jets drafted Darnold because his hands were around the size of Burrow's, and everyone was saying that's his only knock. And Darnold obviously sucked just because he sucked, but that NFL ball is a lot bigger than that college ball, and if you can't hold on to it, man, when you're getting hit hard, it's a problem.
The comforting thing is he did play in the cold, so that
he did.
That's one obstacle you hope you don't have to worry about. And he does wear the gloves, which just is a total just shit move. Like, how are you wearing 2 gloves at quarterback? I don't know how it happens, but like I just don't know how you throw like that. But it works for him, and he grips the ball with those small hands. Whatever works, whatever gets the ball out quick, on time, accurate. I hope. I don't know. I don't know where I hope he goes. I don't really hope he goes anywhere. Actually.
I think he's going to be the second quarterback off the board. I still think Willis is going to be the first. He's got way too much talent.
I think Willis,
Washington for Pickett.
Willis, I really think Willis or Pickett. I think Willis or Pickett at 6. I only say I did a mock today. I don't pretend to know. Like I always talk like this. I was saying like this is the correct mock, but Pickett, Willis. I'm not in those rooms deciding that decision. I don't want to be the one to make that decision because that's franchise altering. If you take a quarterback at 6, Carolina, you're really. They need a quarterback bad. They do.
They need one. I think that Pickett also is Pickett and Willis give you the dual threat, new age NFL dual threat ability. So both of them. If they can't throw, both of them can. But if a team likes, Howell or Corral, and say Carolina really likes Howell and Corral, whoever Carolina's take's gonna suck anyways because Rule and
they're gonna take. They're gonna Malik Willis. I'm sorry, KB, to cut you off.
Go for it.
I think Malik Willis is a Panther or a Commander. That sounded weird to say. I was about to say football team. I was like, what?
Because if Pittsburgh really likes Willis, like people say they do, we saw them get aggressive a few years ago when they loved Devin Bush and traded up 11 picks with Denver to get Devin Bush. They would do the same for a quarterback, I'd have to think. So they might trade from 20 to 6 if Carolina prefers a guy like Corral or Howell. Unfortunately, Corral couldn't play at the Combine. He's so talented, he would have probably helped himself. Probably the best I think he's the second best runner in the class behind Pickett, but they just Carolina sucks, man. They're dry, they're stale.
Yeah.
We've talked about it. This is a terrible team.
Yeah, let's get the fuck off Carolina.
And what are we thinking?
Jones
Jones sucks,
has
dude.
massive hands, still can't. Well, yeah,
So let's talk a little more about. Let's talk a little more
hands.
about that. Then we talked
hold
about
on.
it last week a little bit. Len, there's been a little bit of the idea floated around for the last couple of weeks that the Giants could possibly take Willis or Pickett and sit them for a year, just like they did with Josh Allen with Tyrod Taylor. Is this something that they just absolutely cannot do? Say on draft night, pick 5 is Linderbaum or Thibodeau or Cross. Pick 7 is Pickett or Willis. What's going through your mind that night?
I'd want Joe Shane out of the room already. That'd be terrible. I think that's a panic move. I think I don't think these quarterbacks are worth it for the Giants. I think if you're almost rebuilding, I think you should just roll with Jones another year and see what he gives you. And if he's if he's terrible, then you're going to have I think the guys next year are way better than this year. So I'd rather just wait and not have another Herbert scenario where we take Jones and could have drafted Herbert the following year, but panicked and just took a quarterback to take one. So I don't think Shane will, to be honest. I feel like he knows.
I don't think so.
He knows that. I think he's not going to.
If he likes the guy,
if he likes the guy, then yeah, he will. But
the guy, for the draft gods, let Malik Willis be a Giant for the GBU content. For the GBU content.
Yeah, I know. I agree. Let's also talk about something else, though, with the scouting of quarterbacks. The scouting of quarterbacks. I'm certainly not saying that Willis or Pickett or any of these guys are like a QB1 of the last few years or even a QB2 of regular years. But if one of these guys played at Ohio State, would they be as good as Justin Fields on draft day? We have a rare our top 2 quarterbacks went to Liberty
and Pitt.
So Liberty doesn't happen. This is a disaster at Liberty. And neither of them were Trey Lance 2 years ago, where he threw 47 touchdowns and no interceptions and got hot that year. His second year prior to the draft. No one really knew about Kenny Pickett going into this past college football season. And Malik Willis was on the radar, but not taken super seriously. Howell was the guy, and he was not as good as he was expected to be. But I don't know. I think that if these guys went to a Power 5 school, we might feel a little differently about them going in the top 10 than we do, especially for Giants fans.
I do agree, but
I think so.
Yeah, the Liberty, it kind of like, I don't know. It's not like Liberty's a great school.
It is.
Just
but
the football reputation. When you look at Malik Willis and see Liberty, like,
because it's also not like Zach Wilson, where for the most part, he absolutely dominated the teams he played at BYU. Aside from that CCU game, congrats, JD. Thank you. It's not like that with Willis either. Where he's not. I'm just saying he's not as good. But it's just an interesting thought, an interesting what if maybe he was on Clemson, maybe he was on Ohio State, or
I mean, even if they were to maybe draft, I don't even think. I don't think he's worth 5 or 7. I don't think any of them are top 10 picks. I just think that Carolina has a need.
But someone's going to reach. Yeah, someone's going to reach.
Some of the teams have needs so bad.
I don't hate the idea of the Giants in the second round going with a quarterback, because I think that there's some guys at the second round, like
you don't know who
Carson Strong and Desmond Ridder and maybe Matt Corral, who are not far off from Pickett and Willis, because in the grand scheme of things, if you take a quarterback at 37 for the Giants, if you take one at 37 and then you really don't like what you saw last year and you ended up with the second pick, third pick, you could just take another guy and you're going to end up with a quarterback there the way you do that. So I think taking the risk for a quarterback, maybe not at 5 or 7 in this class, but taking the risk for a quarterback in the second round that you might really like is definitely worth it because of how important the position is, that you'd hope maybe he's the guy. If he's not, we're going to get the guy next year.
Yeah.
So that's a scenario that I like for the Giants. I love Desmond Ridder if you can get him in the second round. Really talented, great athlete. So
I got a little breaking news. Not the biggest breaking news, but some franchise tag news. The Saints will not use the franchise tag
Yes,
on
I did
Marcus
see that.
Williams. Which
And did you guys see the
was
Mike
insane.
Williams news? I didn't know if you spoke about it or not. I thought I dropped it in the
No, I
comments.
haven't.
Before
done
so
it yet.
the Chargers have said that Mike Williams will be on the team for next year. He will get franchise tagged if they don't get an extension done by the deadline, which I believe is next Thursday or Friday.
Yeah,
Okay. That changes things
So he's
because
there,
I
most likely.
didn't think
So
they'd
he
use
drops
the
out
franchise
of
tag
that
on him.
wide receiver market because
But
they
he's
will
gonna
give
get
him.
paid. He's gonna get paid for 1 year like a top 5 wide receiver. But the Chargers have the cap space too.
They
so
do.
I guess
So I guess
Makes
it's
sense.
smart for them though, because instead of bringing someone outside in for the same price and just swapping him, and maybe they don't do well with the scheme, and they don't do congratulations, Drew. They don't do well with the scheme of the team, then you already know this guy's a good fit. So why mess with it? Just give him his money. And I don't love Mike Williams though.
Tom
I'm
Telesco
happy that he's not
clutching
going to be
up.
on the market because
TPT, Tommy T hasn't gotten a chance to fuck up this offseason yet, dude. You wait, pal.
Yeah.
Chargers
franchise tag. It's easy to franchise tag your best player from last year.
Yeah,
This is the easy part of the offseason.
We gotta win more than 9 games, pal. We gotta win more than 9 games. I hate the Chargers.
Mahomes.
We ripped the Chargers a lot. I don't actually hate the Chargers that much, but we ripped them a lot, and it was well deserved last year during GBU because they gave away.
He earned it. He earned that ugly slot during the season.
And that drip he was wearing on McAfee's show.
Oh god, that was embarrassing. That vest,
fucking
that was an embarrassment.
shit.
Jesus.
Imagine being a player on the Chargers watching that. That's the guy that you work for. He's your leader. He's wearing that. Sometimes Saleh does appear with a vest, but Saleh's like 6'4", 230 of muscle. This is a different guy. This is
He's
Mr.
bald.
Clean. Yeah, this guy, he's a sick human being. Staley is not at all. He doesn't compare. JD, we talked about Rodgers yet?
We did not throw it up there now. I think that's the last.
I think excellent. Yeah, sorry.
You're good. Time. Yeah, Rodgers are likely to return to Green Bay. The Devontae thing, it was just before we went live. It was reported by a bunch of Vegas accounts. I don't know how true it is, but I'm going to assume it's pretty true. Devontae buys a $12 million home in Las Vegas. I think that's decent news. I don't think it's game-changing news because guys have houses other places all over the place. $12 million is a large home. That is a big home.
Yeah, it's a forever home.
It is a forever home, it seems like. I don't think the Packers are going to tag him because you're not going to have the cap. There's going to be too many cap gymnastics from now until the deadline to where they'd have to be 20 mil under to franchise tag him to even do that. And Rodgers hasn't even extended yet. It seems like he's going to hit the open market. I still think he's a Packer. I think Rodgers is back next year, but definitely something to keep note. The Las Vegas thing, because if he does leave, that seems like the place.
That's the spot.
Because
he's getting Carr back, college teammates.
It seems like, I don't know if it's a coincidence, but it's a big coincidence if he just wants to buy a house in Las Vegas that's $12 million and go there in the offseason. That's a large house.
Yeah.
I don't think it's game-changing news, but definitely keeps an eye on. I think it's Green Bay or Vegas.
So, do you think it means possibly that maybe he's getting paid by Green Bay? Maybe he wants that house. Maybe he's getting paid. He knows he's going to get paid. And he's
it could be. It definitely could be.
Or he knows he's going to get paid by the Jets. No, I'm kidding. Can we
the Jaguars who think they can
circle
make a run
back quick to a topic from today that I was unfortunately having technical difficulties for? Hopefully, I don't cut out during this. Amari Cooper is getting released or traded. They said if they can't trade him before March 20th, then he's going to be released. Let's say for a team like the Jets, for a team like New England, is it worth it to trade for him before he's released and take his 22 million per year, but you'd be sending like a 4th or 5th round pick because they're getting rid of him anyways? Is it worth it for a team to secure him with his current contract, or should they just wait for free agency to try to get him for a couple million cheaper and maybe for less time?
How long is it? How many years left?
I think he's 3 years left.
He signed it in March 2020, and it was a 5-year deal. So 3 years.
He's got 3 years left, yeah.
I think
3 years left. I think the cap hits are 20 for this year, this upcoming season, 22 for the following season, and then it's like 16, 17 for the season after.
I think the Jets and Patriots can both make it work for a day 3 pick. It depends how desperate New England is for a wide receiver one because they don't have the largest amount of cap space. I think they're around
They can fit in like
15,
one big
20
signing if they
million.
want
Yeah.
to.
I don't think that they would do that, but if they really want a wide receiver one, they could, and the Jets definitely could for a day 3 pick.
Yeah.
I think it's worth it. It depends. I don't know how much his value. I don't know how good he's going to be for the 3 years, but I still think he's a wide receiver one.
I still do.
Borderline.
I definitely do. It's a weird
Yeah,
situation with
definitely.
him because he was in a great offense, but with that, you're not the only target anymore in your offense. So his production has dropped in the last 2 seasons, but he's only 27 still. We've seen the talent. He's really oddly struggled over the middle of the field. But listen, dude, if you can get open anywhere on the field, I don't really care. So I don't know if I'd love to see the Jets trade for him, man, because you're not going to hit on all 10 of your picks. It just doesn't happen. So get rid of one, get a superstar with a 4th or 5th round pick. That if you trade for Calvin Ridley, you're going to get him. You're going to have to pay him anyways. So go get the superstar with a 4th or 5th. Don't let New England get him or Miami. Don't let them outdo you by getting weapons for young quarterbacks this offseason. And for the Jets, they have to just add a guard and a receiver and a tight end, and their offense is set for next season to a point where if Wilson's good, it could really take off. Wouldn't you just want to do that and go into the draft working on one side of the wall?
You can go into the draft with one less need for a day 3 pick for a wide receiver one.
Yeah, I would totally be all over that.
The contract I don't think is too bad for like a GM to completely run away from it.
Yeah.
Now I think
especially when you're the Jets and you're going to have $60 million after cuts.
If the Jets can go into the draft with one less of their biggest needs, where they can even add more in the later rounds, I think that's a win because then they can do whatever they want, no matter what they do with Amari with the first 2 picks. Either way, like whether they're going to take wide receiver or not, it's to be determined. But if you go in with Amari Cooper, then you're like, okay, we're not going to take wide receiver in round 1. We're going to go and fill blank and blank holes. And I think it makes sense for them to go after Amari Cooper. I really do. Definitely in free agency if he gets cut. But talking trade-wise, I don't see why not. I know the cap it sucks, but
and we all know even with that 10th pick with Garrett Wilson and Drake London, who we love all these guys and Traylon Burke, there's 95% chance they're not going to be Amari Cooper. Even though Amari Cooper's not a top 5 receiver, they're not going to be. This guy's a proven wide receiver one, and why wouldn't you want to do that? I don't know. It's just JD, you're totally right. The contract's he's not making $30 million a year.
Yeah.
They're not a team pinching pennies right now. Just go get some talent.
You're a team too.
Just get it done. Don't worry about it.
If it works out as planned too with Zach Wilson, you're not going to have to pay him for another 2 years.
Yeah. And by the time that Cooper's contract's up is the time that you would have to pay Wilson.
Yes.
Possibly.
Yeah.
So the contracts wouldn't overlap. You'd be fine. And not for nothing. You should add everything to the offense when you hire a guy like Saleh. He's got to be able to make something work with a couple defensive additions this year and improve. There should be a better chance of improving an average defense than there is for the staff to improve an average offense. Because you brought in a guy like this, he should be able to do it with a couple pieces on defense. So go all in on making the offensive side of the ball the best it could be, because our defensive head coach should be able to maximize an average roster on defense. But I don't know. I'm not going to get my hopes up for any of this stuff. But when you have 2 teams in a division with young quarterbacks that are going to be in the market of getting a wide receiver, why would you even risk them getting this guy? It's just...
Yep.
Yeah.
You don't want to go to New England. You definitely don't want
get it done.
If you went to New England, you just
want to go to Miami. I mean, Miami's got Tua. They're not going to be the most electric offense, but you still don't want them going there.
Because Mac Jones, as much as I'm a critic of Mac Jones, but he still is... there's a lot of potential there for him to be great. So add a wide receiver 1 to that, and not Jacoby Myers and Kendrick Bourne. I mean, that's not something the Jets D-backs are going to want, and it's not going to work for us because we get killed by Stephon Diggs twice a year. The guy absolutely just has his way.
Yeah,
they throw to him every single play. The ball, and he's wide open. Last year, there was a play where Bryce Hall got hurt, so our first corner's down, and they throw a fade to Diggs. Penalty. Diggs
I
totally
remember this,
mossed.
yeah.
Diggs totally mossed to the D-back. Javelin Guidry, 5'3", ran a good
Fuck.
40 though, so we signed him after the draft. And he totally got mossed, but a flag. So it's coming back like, wow, like, whoo, that could have been really bad.
Yeah.
Bills come out in the same exact formation and do it again because they know you can't cover him. Wouldn't you want to add a guy like that to your team that we could just throw the ball to?
Yeah.
I don't know, but we won't. Douglas will add a couple gadget guys.
He'll sign a few 1-year deals.
We're just probably hunting for like the next Debo, where meanwhile that doesn't really work out for teams because LaFleur wants to hand the ball off to a receiver 45 times.
Yeah, just run the same offense. Just go get Debo.
Just go get Debo and Kittle.
Can't happen.
All right, you know what? Do we even want to talk about baseball?
We'll end. We won't even go in depth with like the Mets Yankees MLB today. We'll just end with the news, the lockout news. Rob Manfred obviously cancels the first 2 series of the 2022 season. Is the MLB season in jeopardy? Now, I think there's a long way to go before we seriously think about no season this year. Now, could it happen? Probably. Like the players, I don't think are going to give in. So if the owners don't give in, the only way these two sides are going to compromise is by working off each other. The MLB wants 14-team playoffs, and unfortunately, I know the MLBPA doesn't want that, but I think it's going to happen because the PA is going to have to use that as a negotiating tactic to get other things like the luxury tax, like other stuff that they want in the deal. So they're going to have to do compromising. They didn't even meet today. I don't know if they exchanged phone calls. They don't seem to be in any rush, honestly. So I don't know when the next deadline is to cancel games. Maybe every Tuesday. I know we saw that. We were talking about that. What if every Tuesday, he would never do that because Manfred is never going to speak every Tuesday.
Man fraud.
If he does, man fraud.
Dude, it's just the most embarrassing thing that you had 95 days from lockout to deadline. You met like 6 days out of the 95 to try to get a deal done.
Yeah.
It's clear to me that I said it to you guys the other day, and I don't blame the players. I'm actually on the players' side. I think the players didn't want to play to open the season. And I don't know if the owners did either. Because I think both sides are not giving in, so they think it's better off. Let's miss 2 months so the other side has to give in. And even then, if they're actually thinking like that, we really are in jeopardy of not having a season.
What if both sides think that? Which both sides do probably think that. Hey, let's just wait until mid-May and hopefully early May and hopefully we can get a June 1 start, and then both sides come back to the negotiating table 30 days later with no progress because they magically think someone's going to give in.
If the players really cared about this and were smart, and I know that this is a big ask, if I were them, I'd really go play in Japan because you're going to get good money from Japanese teams because they're not poor teams and they're desperate for great players. If you could go for 2 months and get a good amount of MLB players in Japan playing good baseball, making decent money, the players are still making their money. They're still playing baseball, and the owners are kind of in a position like, you know what? Half of our team is playing on the Rakuten Eagles, and we're just sitting here making no money. And
I would watch Japan baseball.
That
would get their ratings up.
It would be a great investment for Japanese baseball and a great move by the players because I'd be sitting up at 3 a.m. to watch the Yankees playing with Tanaka on the Rakuten Eagles. I would stay up to watch this team.
Yasiel Puig?
Puig and Eric Thames, Korean League Hall of Famer. I mean, these are guys that could convince and say, hey, you can come hit 450 and 75 home runs here in the Japanese league because these guys aren't that good here. But I don't know, man. This is
it's bad. I mean,
I love talking about what the Mets and Yankees could do, but it's getting to a point where
you can't. It frustrates me talking about it because I know that it's not going to happen
about this until next spring. Like this is bad.
At that point, it's just like God. I mean,
At
you
that
know how much
point,
money
baseball,
free agents are
nah.
going to lose if they have to wait a year?
Baseball will be so heavily hit if they do not have a season this year.
If,
It just
Correa, if
can't
a guy
happen.
like Correa has to take a year off, he's losing at least $40 million
Yeah.
because he lost a year of his contract with that.
Mhm.
I mean, that is really problematic for free agents that have just been sitting here with no representation because they're not on a team.
And
or
you
under
know the
contract
MLB
at all.
owners are going to try to manipulate service time. So,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
the PA probably won't let that happen. But there's a chance that some guys who aren't even off their first contract get screwed.
How about one guy no one's talking about? Buck Showalter is just dying to coach the Mets right now.
Buck
He has been
Showalter.
sitting
Guys
alone.
left.
Biggest baseball guy ever.
Yeah.
This is his opportunity to get his ring. He's got the two best pitchers on the planet on his baseball team.
Poor guy,
And he
man.
can't even
You can
can't
see
even
him
call him on the phone.
at the minicamp, you can literally tell how bad he wants to just explode when he's like just doing like media and all that. And he cannot even say their names. Like he can't even say, like he mentioned Michael Conforto once and he was like, oh, I don't even know if I was supposed to say that, but Buck Showalter doesn't give a shit. So he just wants baseball as much as us. And I want to see him as much as he wants to coach baseball.
So
really do.
I just want to point something out here with the MLB. 2015 to 2019 was the most profitable 4-year period in the history of the MLB. The last 2 years have been like the worst since like 1976 or something. They're currently the 5th sports league in America in daily revenue over the last 2 years.
Mhm.
Does anyone want to take a guess at the two leagues other than the NFL and the NBA that are beating the MLB out over the last 2 seasons? And the NHL is not one of them.
It's probably I was just about to say it's probably not hockey.
I don't even know any of the leagues.
Well, it's not.
One league is tough, but obvious ones.
UFC. UFC is
UFC.
a good guess.
Yes, UFC is one.
UFC is a good guess. Big Roy.
So the 3, right? Great guess. The 3 is a tough one, but obvious once I say it.
WWE.
No.
Is it
golf?
Is it the MLS? No.
No,
not golf. Fuck. What am I saying?
Is
No,
it
the MLS.
like
The MLS is pretty.
It's kind of a trick question. It's kind of a trick question. I feel like
We
have the NFL, the NBA, and the UFC, but the third team. Let me know if you want me to say it.
No, I don't know. It's a league.
It's a league, yeah.
It's
an American sports league.
I mean, I'm trying to think of just any to name.
It's tough though because it gets like grouped in with something else.
Fuck, just say it. Just say
college football.
College football. Okay.
Because of their TV deals and how many people watch on a Saturday. But it's tough because like the NFL is already the sport. All right, Drew. I mean, get out of the chat, dude.
I could see that.
Okay.
I want to continue with the
Say yeah.
DPTAT was blocked for 5 minutes. Yeah. I want to continue with the MLB lockout talk in just a second, but Rap Sheet did just put out a very notable tweet. So, blah, blah, blah. He starts with talking about all eyes on QB Aaron Rodgers. Sources say Rodgers is truly torn on where he wants to play in 2022. While many in the NFL expect him to return, there's lots of positivity in Green Bay, but he's going back and forth on what he wants to do. So I want to touch on this quick because we've talked. It's big news because we literally just said Rodgers likely to return to Green Bay. I still believe that. I still think they're making moves behind closed doors that would suggest that he's back. But that from Rap Sheet is notable because there is still some in the back of the head, like I think he still wants out a little bit, but he knows this is the best chance for him. So I'm waiting patiently.
Yeah, I think he does want. I agree with you. I think he does want the new setting, the new start, the excitement of a new type of thing. I think that he saw Brady go to a new team and win a Super Bowl his first season. That could have a role in what he's doing. But at the same time, he definitely knows that he's not getting a better roster. But at the same time, if they do get Rodgers extended to $50 million a year and they brought back Devontae, and I don't think they could both come back. at this point. I really don't.
Hope,
It just
I
feels
honestly
unlikely.
hope if Rodgers leaves, I
tough.
hope Devontae doesn't come back. I look, I love Devontae, but
Yeah,
we cannot pay this guy $30 million a year to catch passes from
because you're
Jordan
going to
Love.
lose a lot of other
Yeah.
players on this team
Yeah, we
with
need to
over the next
have,
3 years.
Definitely.
if we
Yeah.
have Jordan Love at quarterback, we need a top 5 defense, and you need to allocate your resources. And last year was a good start. You got to re-sign Devondre, you got to re-sign Douglas. You have to be a good defense to win games.
So, to the Packers' success, I would really argue, and JD, you might agree with me, I'd really argue that Aaron Rodgers staying is vital for anything for the Packers' success, but
Mhm.
Devondre is a more important player on the team than Devontae if they kept Rodgers.
Yeah, I mean, he changed the defense. Like we
He
had
made
a
it
bottom
a top 3 defense in the NFL.
we had a
last
bottom
year.
20 defense every year since we won the Super Bowl. And this year, like you can just see in the Packers games all year, we thought that they were the favorite and they were great all year. The loss to San Fran sucks, but the defense was so good in that game. And that defense can win you games with Jordan Love at quarterback. You can win 9 games and win the NFC North. It can happen.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't know what the Packers, if Rodgers says he wants to leave, they haven't even entertained the thought process of trading him. So I don't know how quickly does a trade get done? Like I am really starting to get pissed off with this, but I do not think I truly think he doesn't know what he's doing yet. That's why I don't think there's a decision. I am getting very anxious and antsy waiting because it is March 4th. The franchise tag deadline is March 8th. This is not – he said he was not going to handicap us, but if it's March 4th and he still doesn't know what he wants to do, he's handicapping us is what he's doing.
Yeah, he's
I don't
doing
know.
Devontae too.
The Devon, it's bad right now. Like we're restructuring, we're getting cap space freed up, we're working and we're making good moves behind the scenes, but we're still $30 million in the hole. A Rodgers extension frees up a good portion. Short term, long term, it's going to be a tough contract. But I don't. If Rodgers comes out and says I want to trade, the whole offseason is kind of just turned upside down because you got to move quick. You got to act quick now.
Yeah,
and you have to really
second option.
Reset the franchise. And if you trade Rodgers, you're going to have a bunch of picks. Is a big offseason. It really is. Enough.
All right. Well, I just want to cut in here quick. If you guys want to finish up, I got to bounce. So
sure.
If you guys got to finish up, good stuff today. Next week will be, an enjoyable one because we will be right at the free agent weekend, right before free agency, and we'll know the franchise tag situations and everything. So, fellas, been a pleasure. Technical difficulties, got through it in the end.
We did.
But I'll be watching as you finish up. So, catch you guys next week. And thanks to everyone for tuning in. Make sure to like it, subscribe, follow on all the social media, and, all the good stuff. All right. Later, guys.
Yes, sir. KB.
Yeah,
See
KB.
you. All right, Big Lenny. We will finish this up. Just talk Packers, talked MLB.
I want to just touch on MLB. One thing.
I was going to go back to MLB.
Yeah, so we'll go back. So Busteroli said today that he thinks to really jumpstart the talks again, that the sides they're gonna have to give up something to get something. So they're saying that the union have approached the MLB that they were willing to go a 14-team postseason playoff bracket if the MLB owners will put more money into the competitive balance tax. So I mean, if they can start doing that, I'm not a fan of the 14-team playoff. I think that's too many. It
is too many. Mean, it's ruining.
I think personally that teams might not even spend because what do you got to get 81 wins to make the playoffs? The teams that are like around the border will spend maybe 10 more million, but the teams even though the Yankees, those teams will spend, but some teams might say I can make the playoffs at least and have a shot with like 160 million payroll instead of going to 200. So,
the 14-team playoff is a cash grab by the owners because I think it's going to make them, I don't know if it's 100 million annually for each owner, 100 million total for the MLB. Big Riot might as well just give participation trophies. 14 teams make the playoffs in the Major League Baseball. It's too much. You cannot have 162 games and 14 teams make the playoffs. That's going to actually entice owners like the Mariners, the Pirates, all those budget teams on the border. I know the Pirates suck; they're fucking terrible. But the teams on the border who don't spend, they're not going to spend because they're going to think, like you said, they could get in with 85 wins, which they're going to in 14 teams. I always love playoff baseball. Like I can't get enough of playoff baseball. It just seems overkill to have six teams play in the wild card round in a best of 3. That's an extra few games for the pitching staffs in the playoffs. I don't know. It's going to happen. I fear it's going to happen because
the owners
they're going to have to compromise.
Too.
The owners
they're going to get so much more money now to do more playoff baseball.
The owners are not budging on core economics unless they're getting something in return. And the MLB right now, the MLB PA, the only thing they have to offer is the 14-team playoff next year and the proposal for next season, the 2023 season, with the base paths, the pitching clock, and the shift. Really, unless I'm missing something, I think that's really the only negotiating chips the MLB PA has. So unfortunately, I know they're pushing for 12 teams, but it seems like they're going to have to use the 14
it seems 14 is going to be
to get
final
the luxury
decision.
Tax, whatever else financials they got to do, because there's big gaps and they are not meeting every day, which is like, it's terrible. It really is. And when they did meet, they didn't exchange any proposals, and it was just the two head guys, two head spokesmen for each, the union and the PA. Baseball's in a bad spot right now. This was Rob Manfred's doomsday scenario when he took commissioner. They had years to get this done. This was a problem that we saw, Big Lenny, I'm pretty sure you saw as soon as the season ended last year. We were like, yeah, we're going to a lockout. And a lot of people were probably at that time, it's like, it's just all talk. They'll come to a deal. The players will give in like they always do. It's different this year. And while I sympathize with the players, Manfred has got to go. DPT, yep. Hey, Manfred's got to go. I sympathize for the players, but if they don't budge, I don't know when this season starts. I really don't.
Yeah. And I mean, you got Manfred up. He's laughing. He's saying, we did everything we could. You did everything you could. You had 10 days. What are you talking about? Everything you did.
I wanted to mention the 10 days comment. That was
10 days. But I think personally the owners didn't want to meet. They used it as an advantage to put pressure on the players so that they can wait till this time and think they'll just slip up again and they'll give in. But it didn't work. The players knew this was coming.
There's a tactic to the owners waiting, 90 days to even start talking. That was a great question by whoever asked Manfred. Why? It's simple. Why did you not start negotiating 85 days ago? And his answer, I don't remember what he said word for word, but he was like, oh, let's just focus on the last 10 days. The last 10 days, we made great progress. No, you made no progress. There's no progress. The last 10 days, the owners created a false storyline to Bob Nightingale. They fucking baited Bob into poor Bob was just given information. The owners used him as a negotiating chip to get the media on their side. And while that may have worked for the night where we were getting our hopes up, it didn't. The owners are losing the PR battle. They really are. Because even the players beat them to it today, where they said they're giving $1 million. They have $1 million fund for all the people.
Yeah, the owners then responded after, like an hour after.
The owners responded after the PA beat them to it. The owners don't care. And the 4 owners who voted against that being their final offer, the Angels owner, I forget, it's already, let me search it up here. That guy is a fucking stooge. Too. That guy is a fucking stooge.
Do something with it. Probably the best too, possibly.
Where's this guy?
And another thing on the talks, my only thing is too, I was listening to Carter Robinson today. Evan made a good point where he said, the only thing, why were the players that disgusted that they couldn't make a counter offer? Maybe you just make a count. Like that was nothing at the final offer. Make a counter offer and just say that we want this, this, and
Yeah.
this, and then because you ended it before, it didn't even end at 5:00. It was ended by like
Yeah.
4:10. The talks were already over. The final decision was no automatically. I mean, the details of the thing were terrible. But I would have liked if they would have just tried to counter offer, and then by 5:00, the owners probably would have said no either way. But there never need to be a deadline. We don't need to cancel games. I mean, if the games are getting canceled, the Mets are missing like 7 games versus divisional opponents. Those have to be made up, or you have to cancel other games out of
the schedule. Since we're not getting a deal this week, the season's not starting with whatever it's 156 games currently. The season's not that's not going to happen. So I don't think they're going to have to worry about scheduling our division games back in there. I think it's going to be a shortened 100-game season. I think they reshape the whole schedule. They're going to reshape the whole schedule.
I think you're going to have to at that point.
They're going to have to. You're going to miss too many division games.
Yeah, if you only play 100 games, I think you have to restructure the whole thing so that it's just even for everyone, because it's just going to be chaos.
Yeah, DBT. I just looked up his name. It's Arte Moreno. He's a fucking stooge. He has Shohei Ohtani. He has Shohei Ohtani, right? And Mike Trout. And this guy is the biggest fucking scumbag of all the owners, this guy. He doesn't want us to watch Shohei Ohtani or Mike Trout this year. This guy, and who was the other? The Twins owner, was he one? Was it the White Sox? White Sox? I don't know.
Maybe the Rockies might have been in there.
I got it in here. The Rockies. The 4 owners who are keeping us not even that. They're not even keeping us from a season.
That pull-off contract was made by your boy, Billy Epp.
Billy Epp, yeah. Billy Epp is responsible with DPT. You're walking yourself into a corner, dude. Billy Epler is responsible for half those fucking bad contracts, dude. He paid, what did he pay? Rendon?
Rendon, yeah.
Rendon,
I mean, he paid Trout, but that's pretty obvious.
He's probably tried to bolster the pitching in the past. So their pitching cannot be good ever. The Angels are bad. They're the worst team in their division. They have the two faces of baseball on their team.
And they're not even going to make the playoffs, I don't think.
Ohtani, when Ohtani hits free agency, there is no way in hell that he is re-signing with the Angels. It's just not going to happen. They're not going to pay him. Even if he doesn't want to go break the bank, which he could if he wants to. But you never know. He could take a cheaper, shorter term deal somewhere else. It won't be with the Angels because they will not pay him because they're scumbags. And Art Moreno, whatever his name is, I hate him. I hate him. He actually, the 4 of them, I'm going to find the other owners' names here in a second. It's bad that you voted against that being your final offer. This is bad for baseball because that means there's 4 owners already who are never going to accept a proposal from the MLBPA. And the MLB, 23 out of 30 owners is absurd. It should be 20. That's majority. Even more than 15 is majority. I think it should be more. It should be over 15 votes, 20 the max to get a deal done. 23 is absurd. They're never going to get a deal done with these fucking stooges.
It looks that way.
They're never going to. They're never going to. If they don't cave, I mean, jeez, it's bad. It's bad. And those are the guys who voted against Steve Cohen. I mean, fuck you. Fuck you. Steve Cohen is the epitome of what every owner should be. You don't have to be $13 billion to go spend on your baseball team. You don't have to be $13 billion net worth to go put a winning product on the field. But Steve Cohen is a fan, and he just wants baseball to be played. And I think Steinbrenner, well, we've been giving him shit lately, and he hasn't spent and all that. He's voting yes to – he wants the Yankees on the field. Like Steve Cohen wants the Mets on the field. The Dodgers want to be on the field. I'm sure the Red Sox want to be on the field.
Yeah.
It's bad that these lower budget scumbag owners
they don't care. No one goes either. No one goes to
No one goes in April. They do not give a single fuck that they're missing games in April. They don't. They just don't, because they don't make money. Yeah, Big Red, fucking spend, damn it. I mean,
Spend it.
the owners, even if you don't want to spend, just try. Like, the Pirates do not try to put a competitive product on the field.
Mhm.
The Orioles do not try. The Orioles were good for a while, and they dumped that core, and they've never been good again. Every time the Pirates have a good player, they dump them.
Yeah, and they don't get
They're
anything good for them.
No, they don't. And teams like the Rays always fucking fleece them, just like they did once before. It's
Mhm.
bad. Baseball's in a bad spot. It's the day the lockout deadline day was a sad day for baseball, because all that momentum, whether it was fake, manufactured or not, I feel like we would have heard something from the players that night. If there was not real momentum, at least some point, optimism a
Mhm.
deal could get done. I think one of the players would have probably tweeted it out. It probably wasn't as close as Nightingale made it seem, but
Yeah.
the fact that they came back the next day, weren't close on anything, didn't meet for a day, met two guys for 90 minutes, no proposals, and then haven't met since. It's bad. It's bad.
Yeah.
I pray for a June 1st start. That's best case, honestly, in my
Mhm.
opinion, but I don't fucking know.
You
If
should
they're not
meet.
playing on Jackie Robinson Day, it'd be sad.
Yeah,
It
it
would
would
be.
be. Should
I
be
mean,
meeting
that's
every day until you get a deal. If you want to play and care about the fans and care about the game, because I'm telling you right now, you're losing fans.
you are.
You're
Yeah.
losing a lot of fans.
You're not losing fans
You
like
got
us because
bailed in
we've.
'94 or in '95 because you had guys juicing in the home run
Yep.
race, which now looking at it, they're frauds.
Yep.
So you're not going to have that now. You can't. No one's going to juice up. They're going to get called right away. So you're going to be losing
Yeah.
fans.
And outside of the people like us who are absolute diehard baseball fans in thick and thin, I'll always love baseball. I'll always watch the Mets. You'll always watch the Yankees. You're not losing us, but you're pissing us off, and you're losing all the middle of the pack. Just like, hey, you want to watch an MLB game? You have a favorite team you want to watch? Like, those guys, the older fans too, like the real guys who'll get fucking pissed off, like who, even the people who take the owner's side, like the old fans who take the owner's side, like they're gonna get pissed off and they're not gonna watch. So it doesn't work for both parties here. Baseball in 2021, I think, had a great year. I know attendance was down, but revenue was up after the COVID season. It was a great playoff. It was a 5-team basic playoff. Yankees, Red Sox, wild card. It was everything a Major League Baseball playoff should be, except maybe minus the dominant pitching down the stretch with the Braves and Dodgers, because they were running on fumes, those teams, that pitching staff. Other than that, baseball was great last year, and the Mets suck, but I still love baseball. It was a very entertaining. The Yankees were a big storyline all year. Like, they were bad in the middle of June, but they turned it around. They had that deadline. That's what baseball is. You have one good deadline, and anything can change. And I just think the 5 teams is just perfect. I forgot TP2 was at that wild card game. That Fenway game was nuts. Stanton hit about 3 moon shots off the monster. But that was just when, like, as a neutral fan, I was enjoying that game because that was baseball. Yankees, Red Sox, Garrett Cole in Fenway. I know he blew it up, but Garrett Cole, when going in, you're thinking that's going to be a sick game, and 9 out of 10 times it is. So it's unfortunate that baseball's taken the step it has went this year, but I think that's enough lockout talk for the day, because I just can't take it anymore. NFL this time next week, next Friday, if we keep doing the Friday off-season streams, which I think we probably will, as all off-season the Friday streams work. We'll probably talk more rumors. Maybe Rodgers will have a decision. I know it's getting repetitive. Free agency starts, the tampering period, which is basically when free agency starts, March 14th, and it's Monday, March 14th. So once that happens, we'll be rolling. And usually that takes us into baseball, but we're going to have to make it last into the draft if there's no baseball. So, Big Lenny, thank you for joining us tonight, my friend. Hopefully we can be in more better spirits, talking MLB free agency and all that in the coming
Yeah,
weeks, but it's
hopefully.
not looking good. If you made it this far, if anyone's watching at this point in the video, we're an hour and 30 in. It was a long one. It was a fun one. Make sure to check the
It was wild.
Instagram, check the TikTok. Yeah, it was wild. We went through a different couple wide variety of topics.
Yeah.
Yeah, check the Instagram. We're going to do our free agency part 3 predictions. A lot of draft stuff coming. We're all into the mock drafts and off-season predictions. Who's going to go where? So it should be fun. If you haven't, subscribe, like the video, and we'll see you in the next video. Peace.